All right, welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody had a good happy hour, got some good drinks, got to talk. Claps for the drinks. All right, so our next presenter is one of my favorite people in the HubSpot ecosystem. It's Kim Hacker. She is with Arrows, and she's going to be talking about how you can run customer success out of your CRM. So give a hand to Kim.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming out today. Cool. So my name is Kim Hacker. That is my actual last name. I was born with it. I run operations at Arrows. We are a customer onboarding and digital sales room app built for HubSpot. I previously ran customer onboarding teams at a Series A SaaS startup. So that was kind of my intro into tech, and then came over to Arrows and have been working with customers on onboarding and running customer success inside HubSpot for the last 3.5-ish years. Okay, so today I'm talking about how to run customer onboarding and customer success inside HubSpot. Okay, quick agenda of what we're going to go over. So first I want to talk about why you should run customer success and onboarding in HubSpot and why it's a viable solution. Want to go through understanding your own customer's experience, and then we'll talk through nailing your sales to customer success handoffs, creating onboarding plans inside HubSpot, and then how to measure and report on your customer onboarding program inside HubSpot. Okay, but first, before we get on into all of that, I am here representing Arrows, so I want to show kind of what Arrows is. So Arrows builds digital sales rooms and customer onboarding plans, and we're specifically built for teams that run on HubSpot. So if you have a customer success, customer onboarding team, or even a sales team, we're focusing on customer onboarding here today. But anyone that runs any of those processes inside HubSpot, you should definitely look into Arrows. Okay, so let's get into it. I want to talk kind of about how customer success fits into HubSpot. So HubSpot started as a marketing tool, and then they transitioned into adding CRM tools for sales, and then they added Service Hub and ticketing for support. So I think those are kind of three obvious pillars that probably everyone already knows about in HubSpot. But how does customer success fit into that? If you're a SaaS company, that's part of your go-to-market program, and there really wasn't a great space for that before. We started talking about customer success in HubSpot about 2.5-3 years ago, and we were kind of presenting kind of hacky solutions to actually make things work inside HubSpot. But over the last year, Colette King is here. She's been leading the customer success tooling inside HubSpot, and they have really invested in customer success tools inside HubSpot, including a customer success workspace specifically designed for customer success managers, and they've even built health scoring inside HubSpot. So it's actually a super close match to like a customer success platform if you're already familiar with those. And the kind of benefit of it is typically if you were running a success program in a separate tool, but your marketing, sales, and support teams were in HubSpot, you're just creating another silo, and you're creating, especially for customer success, they have no access to that information that's living inside HubSpot. So we are big advocates for kind of combining all of your go-to-market inside HubSpot, and that's what I'm going to show you today. Okay, so first I want you to think about your own product or service and kind of what your customers are experiencing as they're going through the journey. So they are starting out in marketing, going through sales, and becoming a happy customer. This is kind of the ideal journey, is that they're kind of growing in their excitement along the way. But now I want you to think about the last time you purchased a new product or service and think about your experience there. I'm guessing it looked a little bit more like this. Like I said, I run operations, and then we have our CEO, Daniel, here. He and I are involved in a lot of buying products and services, and I hate to say it, but this is our experience most of the time. We get really excited during the sales process, excellent salesperson, and then quickly after sales, we start getting a little bit nervous and usually end up pretty angry, and if we do decide to stay as a customer, we're not super thrilled about it. So I would encourage everyone to kind of think through their own process of getting customers up and running and getting them to successful customers after sales, and think about what your process actually feels like to them. Okay, so in order to fix that, I'm going to talk about how to fix all of that inside HubSpot and kind of get your internal processes running inside HubSpot. And the first step is to nail your sales handoff. So we heard from Clay and PandaDoc earlier about getting demand gen and sales and kind of getting your customers in the door. And now we're taking them to the next step, so nailing your sales handoffs inside HubSpot. So, where do sales handoffs go wrong? A lot of times, what we're seeing if people are not successfully setting up their post-sales processes inside a connected platform like HubSpot, is sales collects information during their calls, discovery calls, demos, all of that, and that information is never translated to the customer success team, which means customers have to answer the same questions over and over again, and that just leads to a lot of confusion and frustration. Your customers also don't get a personalized onboarding or success experience because there's no data to allow for any kind of customization. So everyone's kind of getting the same process over and over. And then a lot of times customers are stuck waiting and wondering what the next step is after sales. So they've signed their PandaDoc agreement, and then what happens next? You gotta make that kind of part of the process clear. Okay, so a couple do's and don'ts with sales handoffs. So one thing that we definitely advocate for is setting up required properties for sales reps to fill out in the CRM. But what we don't want to do is require reps to fill out details that aren't critical. So if you are giving your sales reps 20 fields to fill out when a sales deal gets to move to close one, they're going to be lazy and not give you accurate data. So you want to only focus on the critical steps that are actually necessary for your post-sales teams. You want to make sure your sales reps are setting the right expectations up front. So talking about the onboarding process and what goes into that during the sales process, but you don't want to tell your customers it takes minutes or days to get onboarded when it really takes weeks or months. And then you want to introduce your onboarding process during sales, and you don't want to hide the fact that it'll take some effort for them to be successful. So I think one thing to keep in mind is people like to say that it's super easy and it's no work for them to get up and running, but if during the sales process you're focused on their outcome and kind of what they want to do, they're willing to put some work in, so don't be shy about actually saying what that work is. Okay, so this is a quick GIF that's kind of just showing moving a deal to closed one inside HubSpot and then setting up a couple key properties for your sales reps to fill out that kind of builds into that handoff for the customer success team. You'll see here I just have 3 required properties, and all of them are drop-down select or multi-select, meaning we don't want our sales reps to enter free text because that's not going to be accurate data and it's probably going to be lazy, and they can just put an X in the box and move on. Okay, so now that we have the deal that moves to close one, we're setting up a workflow inside HubSpot that it's triggered based on the deal moving to close one, and we actually have a branch here set up that's looking at one of those properties that we just set up. So that was a residential property company, and so we're putting them and assigning them to a specific CSM who is working with residential companies, and we are going to put them in their specific onboarding pipeline and transfer all of those properties that we just collected to the ticket inside HubSpot that's just for this customer. So we ran that workflow, and now you can see this is the deal that we were looking at earlier. It's Properties app, and they are in our ticket onboarding pipeline inside HubSpot. Okay, so now we have our customer kind of handed off internally inside our pipeline, and now we want to create an onboarding plan inside HubSpot as well. So you can create an onboarding plan right inside HubSpot. This is where Arrows comes in. So we are inside a ticket record right now. We just clicked a button. We can select a template. We're specifically selecting a template for residential onboarding right now, and then you can create your plan and view your plan and interact with it all inside HubSpot. I'm showing you a manual way to do this right now, so your sales reps can go in, or your onboarding reps can go in and actually click a button and do this, but we do have a workflow action as well, so you can automatically create a customized onboarding template for each of your customers as well if you needed. Okay, so we created our onboarding plan, but I do want to talk really quickly about what makes a good onboarding plan and some of the things to kind of keep in mind as you're building onboarding plans or thinking about your onboarding process. And these are things that a lot of our customers kind of tend to get wrong when they're first designing their plans. So the first thing is we want to begin with simple, easy to complete tasks. So you want to, in your onboarding process, continue to build that momentum and that excitement that was captured during the sales process. So we don't want to give the first kind of heavier tasks early on in the process. So you can see here, this is an example. We're starting with signing your contract, scheduling your kickoff call, uploading branding documents. Fairly easy kind of steps to complete here. I will call out, signing your contract in our account right now is a PandaDoc agreement, so shout out to PandaDoc. So you want to keep those simple and kind of help them gain that early momentum, complete tasks. Inside Arrows, you'll see in a second, when someone completes a task, there's like confetti in the task, so there's a little celebration moment, so you want them to kind of feel excited. We just did something, I want to keep going with this process. You want to make sure your tasks are action-oriented, so every task title should start with a verb. That's an easy way to make sure your tasks are action-oriented. So again, sign your contract, schedule your kickoff call, Sometimes people will just put like logo for their task title, and it's not clear whether that's done or what needs to be done here, so make sure they're action-oriented. And then be even more clear and obvious than you think you need to be. We all know our products and services so well, but your customers are brand new. So I think being even more simple and simplified with your tasks and what you're asking them to do, and giving them instructions for exactly how to do things. The last thing we want is for someone to see an easy task but get stuff because the instructions are not specific or clear to them on what they need to do. And then last two things is set clear due dates and make sure every task has an owner. So that's a part of Arrows. You can always set due dates and set owners. You can do that dynamically via from HubSpot dates and from HubSpot contact records. But making sure that they're kind of clear on this needs to be done by when and by who. Okay, so this is kind of going to go through what an Arrows plan looks like and how your customer is interacting. This is a HubSpot meeting link that's embedded into an Arrows task, so they can book a meeting directly through an Arrows task. You get that confetti that I was just talking about, and then they can move on to the next task. Here we're uploading brand guidelines and logos, and then the next task is going to be showing like an intake form or collecting information from your customers during the onboarding process. So it's super easy for them to fill out whatever information you want. All of that is happening inside Arrows, and that's kind of the UI that they're interacting with. And then on the HubSpot side, all of that data gets synced back into HubSpot. So we're syncing over 50 data points about your onboarding process and what's happening with your customers. Things like how many overdue tasks are there, how many days has it been since the plan started. All of those kind of data points are syncing into HubSpot over here on the left sidebar. And then in the middle, we have file submissions and form submissions. So anything your customer is filling out inside Arrows is going to live inside HubSpot. And then we also have this progress bar and kind of app card on the right sidebar that is showing an actual progress bar, how many tasks they've completed, and then you can also open and interact with the plan directly inside HubSpot as well. And then, so that was like the individual ticket record inside HubSpot and kind of how you're managing onboarding inside that ticket record. But you can also use the Arrows data inside your pipeline, so your onboarding pipeline, where all of your customers that are in onboarding are going to be living inside HubSpot. So a couple things that you can do here. We're going to automatically move tickets between stages in your pipeline as your customer progresses in their onboarding plan. So if someone completes 5 tasks or finishes a certain phase in their onboarding plan, it's going to automatically move them to the next stage. So this becomes a real-time updated view of where every customer is at in your onboarding process. And then you can also use things like ticket tags, which I'm showing here, to show when a customer is stuck. In this example, we're showing they're stuck because they've been stuck on an onboarding task for more than 5 days. Okay. And then step 3 in this process is to measure and report on your onboarding program. So I think this is a thing that a lot of people who are running onboarding teams are missing. You can do all of this inside HubSpot. This comes back to the 50 data points that we're syncing over from Arrows into HubSpot. So we're using all of those to create a dashboard inside HubSpot that's basically giving us any data we might want on our onboarding program and how it's doing. So having this data allows you to see what's working and what's not working, and then iterate and improve on your onboarding process over time. I would say most teams that we talk to are typically tracking this or tracking onboarding via some kind of spreadsheet or something like that, and they have really no data. And a lot of people, I think I'm gonna go over this in a second, but a big metric for customer onboarding is tracking time to value, or how long it takes your customer to get to value in onboarding. And a lot of people are kind of guesstimating that number right now. So this allows you to actually take a look at those metrics and then see how they're improving over time. Okay, so a few examples of what those reports look like. So this is one report that we have set up in HubSpot that, again, it's basically a really simple report inside HubSpot, but we're enriching those reports with HubSpot data, or with Arrows data. So you can see here, this is showing us all customers that have overdue onboarding tasks. You can see the current task due date, the amount of time that they've been on the task, current task name, and current task assignee. So for a manager or an onboarding rep to come in, they can get a quick view of any customer that kind of needs that extra attention. And then this is coming back to that time to value, or time to onboarding completion metric that I was talking about earlier. So these are 2 reports that, again, are just using basic Arrows data points. We have one data point that's basically time in onboarding total. So you can see over time right now, this chart, we're looking at month over month, how we're performing or how long it's taking on average for customers to get up and running. And then on the right, we've got a gauge, basically. Our goal is to onboard our customers in under 20 days, and we're at 19.6 days right now, so we're doing well. Okay, so final kind of reflection here to kind of examine your own onboarding and post-sales process inside HubSpot or inside your own organization. Think about, are your post-sales teams getting access to the information that your marketing and sales teams are uncovering during the marketing and kind of early discovery process across your teams? Do teams have visibility into your customers' onboarding progress? I think this is a big one that we hear is customer success managers have sales reps or executives kind of hounding them, wondering what's happening with their customers during onboarding, and then they're having to go into a spreadsheet or figure it out, whereas in the views I just showed you, anyone with access to HubSpot can see exactly what's happening with any customer at any time. Check if your customers are experiencing unnecessary friction due to poor internal communication. I think that's a big one that goes into kind of having disconnected or siloed teams. And then the last one is, do you have the data that you need to improve your current onboarding and success processes? And again, this is where I think most people are probably lacking in some of that data. Cool, so one thing I did want to offer, we talk to onboarding teams all the time. I ran an onboarding team before, and we talk specifically to most of our customers about running onboarding inside HubSpot. So if anyone does want to chat through their onboarding process, you can scan this QR code, this goes directly to me, I would be chatting with you and happy to kind of run through it, whether it's a fit for arrows or not, but just kind of looking through how are you running your process now, even if it's in a spreadsheet, and how can that be improved? Okay, final thought to leave you all with. The success of your customers starts with a seamless handoff, so make sure they feel supported and kind of know the next steps and what they need to do next from day one. Any questions about onboarding, arrows, customer success in HubSpot, or any of that? You can chat with me after if you want as well. Okay. Thank you.